A recently released national study underscores the problem of poverty in Oklahoma. The 25th Annual Kids Count report from the Annie E. Casey Foundation shows nearly 1 in 4 Oklahoma children live in poverty, and the number of children living in high poverty areas has more than doubled since 2000. Despite improvement in some areas, the numbers indicate Oklahoma is lagging behind other states when it comes to the well-being of children.
The Kids Count data book assesses child well-being throughout the U.S. by examining trends across 16 key indicators. Oklahoma dropped to 39th overall this year, down from 36th in 2013, in what was one of the largest declines in the country.
Oklahoma as a state struggles with poverty. We struggle with families that have a lot of challenges, including addiction, domestic violence. We rank as one of the highest states in terms of imprisonment, both of men and women. And so this causes a lot of disruption for children in our state.
Deborah Shropshire is the new Deputy Director of Child Welfare Partnerships at the State Department of Human Services. She says poverty severely affects the welfare of Oklahoma's children.
I don't know how we expect a lot of the single moms and single dads in our community who may be struggling to put food on the table. I don't know how we expect them to also at the same time be good parents, keep their children safe without some support.
With Oklahoma ranking near the top of all states for incarceration of women, mental illness, and high divorce rates, increasing numbers of children are coming into contact with the state's child welfare system. During fiscal year 2013, DHS received more than 11,000 substantiated reports of abuse and neglect, which forced the state to remove children from their homes. As of June 30th of last year, more than 10,000 children were in and out of home placement, such as a foster home. But Shropshire says finding enough foster homes is a challenge. The agency has set a goal of 1,200 foster homes this year, but Shropshire admits even that would fall short of what's needed.
If we had 5,000 homes tomorrow, we'd be dancing with joy around here, because that would truly give us the opportunity to say, hey, where does this child or these children, where do they fit best? Not where is there a space for them?
While the state has made progress in finding foster homes for younger children, the task is more difficult for older youth. A report issued earlier this year showed the use of shelters for placing children removed from homes was up 11% for 6 to 12-year-olds and up 19% for children 13 and older. There are concerns many of those children will end up in the state's juvenile justice system. Keith Wilson is executive director of the Office of Juvenile Affairs.
It's my belief that in about 3 years probably we'll begin to see the impact of so many children being removed from their home in kids coming into OJA's custody.
According to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, more than 18,000 Oklahoma youth were arrested in 2011 for minor to violent offenses. Overall, juveniles accounted for 12% of Oklahomans arrested that year. The OJA is already struggling with limited resources brought on by years of funding cuts. Wilson says the agency is operating more than 15% below the funding level of 4 years ago and took another cut of more than $1.5 million in this year's budget. While OJA's revolving fund of about $2.5 million was left intact, Wilson says that's barely enough to fund the Southern Plains Treatment Services facility in Norman for one more year.
If there are not significant increases in our budget for FY16, then that facility will be closed. It's not a question of it may be. It simply has to be. There will be no funds to operate it.
Wilson says if OJA does not receive additional funding next year, the consequences could be catastrophic.
Well, I see it as a disaster, quite frankly, because you're going to provide less and less treatment and rehabilitation for the kids if that happens. The more you cut the resources available, the closer you come to being just I don't like the term, but the one I use is a kid prison.
Wilson fears that juveniles in OJA's custody will eventually age out and be released back into their communities without the benefit of treatment and rehabilitation that would help them reintegrate into society.